What's going on? It's your boy Sermon, at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Kendrick Lamar doesn't make music to sell records, yet he always manages to do so. His aim is to be the best, which is a combination of things, ranging from lyricism to crafting a well put together record, to choosing the right production, and so many other factors go into being the best, and Kendrick Lamar strives to be the best. He also prides himself on coming up with unbelievably deep concepts, and so that's what you get on his latest album titled Damn. When I listened to Damn the first few times, I got the vibe that it's a much easier listen than To Pimp a Butterfly. To Pimp a Butterfly, it wasn't all over the place, but there was a lot, and upon listening for the first time, it was a lot to take in. This album is a lot less personal, but still personal, but not on that level of emotion that To Pimp a Butterfly had. And so that's why I look at it like it's an easier listen than his last album. Part of Kendrick Lamar's appeal is that he creates these albums and there's just so much to talk about within it. The concepts are just so deep and there's a lot of different ideas that can be portrayed because of it. Now, there's obviously that one idea that Kendrick had in mind when he made the album, and I've already seen people crack the code and figure it all out. But for me, I'm not going to speak on that because that's just, it's too simple. I wanted to talk about my thoughts, my feelings, and what I thought when I was listening to this album. I don't look at it like my ideas are going to fit the album to a glove, but I had fun coming up with my own theories. Like, I've toyed with ideas that the blind lady that shoots Kendrick in the beginning represents fame. I've kind of drawn some similarity between this album and Vince Staples' Prima Donna EP. And there was just a lot of different thoughts that came through my mind, little details here and there. I had so many different questions while listening to this album. One thing for sure, though, is that this album represents, in a way, life. It represents life for Kendrick Lamar and a various amount of other different feelings and topics that go along with it, from DNA to love and lust to God. Like, there's just a lot on this album. I'm probably going to say that 3 or 4 more times throughout this review. Now let's talk about 3 of my favorite songs, kicking off with DNA. If anybody was looking forward to a Kendrick Lamar rapping song where he's just going in, just killing, going ballistic, this one is definitely for you. It was like turned up from the very beginning and just gradually reached its peak throughout the song. Like, you can't say that the first or the second verse isn't the hardest on here. But me personally, I feel like the first verse was better. It was less energy, but it was still enough energy to get his point across, to understand Kendrick Lamar a little bit more, understand what's in his DNA. And above all, rapping is definitely in his DNA, and he proves it on this song. This is also another Mike Will Made It and Kendrick Lamar collaboration, and dare I say that this is not up for debate, it's their best one yet. The next song on my favorites list is Fear. This is Kendrick projecting his fears at age 7, 17, and 27. I think it was a really interesting concept to do because you get to see, like, Kendrick growing up. At 7, his biggest fear was his mom. At 17, he feared death because of his surroundings, of his environment, of where he was growing up. At 27, being an established rap star already, his biggest fear was losing it all. So there's just, I like the idea that Kendrick is showing you, like, what he's feared throughout the years, you know, in 10-year increments. Kendrick really bears it all on this song, and I think it proves to be one of the best that he's ever created. Like, it is top 5, top 10 material here. I like that in the third verse, he references some of the different song titles on the album. He talks about pride. He talks about not being humble or fearing that he's losing his humbleness. talks about love and lust. And so he references these different song titles, and it made me feel like if you were to reverse listen to the album, maybe it provides a slightly different experience. And I think that's part of the genius of Kendrick Lamar's Damn, is that you can sit here and say, I'm going to play this from Duckworth to Blood, and you get the same values throughout the album, but you have a different intro and you have a different outro now. You know, Kendrick gets shot at the end of the album versus where this, listening to it the normal way, it's kind of, I don't know. Let me get into the Duckworth record, and then we'll talk more a little bit about like that whole intro, outro type of thing. So as you can tell, Duckworth is my final pick for my favorites list. This story is simply insane. The fact that Kendrick is on Top Dog Entertainment is just, wow, it's mind-blowing. So the story is about Anthony, and Anthony is Top Dog. And before that, Top Dog was your typical, you know, gangster in the street. He robbed, he stealed, and, you know, he almost, and this is the crazy part, he almost killed Kendrick Lamar's dad. Like, he had the opportunity. And the whole story, to me, just unraveling, I'm like, wait, is he's talking about his dad? He's talking about Top Dog, and how the fact that this random act of kindness from Ducky, who's Kendrick Lamar's dad, saved his life and changed the course of the universe. Really, when you think about it, the whole course of the world. Like, what would Kendrick Lamar's story be if this had played out differently? And so, you know, Anthony was someone who was robbing, he robbed a KFC that Ducky was working at. And instead of shooting him, at some point, you know, they kind of became cool, and he would give him, you know, free chicken and extra biscuits and stuff. And that, to me, was like, man, that's kind of crazy. Just the whole thing, it still blows my mind to talk about it. At the end of the album, there's a gunshot. Kendrick says, if this had played out differently, then I could have just been someone shot in a gunfight. And then you have that gunshot go off. And then a reversing sound. So it's like, to me, instead of this outcome actually happening, it's reversing it. And then it goes right back into the intro where he's like, I was walking one day. So I tried to figure out like what the purpose of like the intro, what the intro really means. Like, why is it a blind lady? Why is this blind lady shooting Kendrick? I feel like it's deeper than just the fact that Kendrick Lamar thinks he's going to die no matter what, or die by the hands of a gun no matter what. I don't think that's Kendrick Lamar's style. He tends to do things a lot more deeper than it's on the surface. And like I said earlier, I've seen different pieces where people have tried to break it down, and so I could have referenced those, but I wanted to share my thoughts. There's a really great article on DJ Booth, I'll link it in the description, that pretty much breaks down the album down to a T, so you can understand it a little bit more, but I didn't want to base my whole review around that. I also feel like there's different ways to interpret things. Like, you don't have to look at the album as a whole. Sometimes you can just look at it like one or two songs or one or two details and kind of connect those. And again, that goes back to the genius of Kendrick Lamar. This is a very fun album to talk about. I didn't have any bad songs. I will say there are two least favorites on here. Loyalty featuring Rihanna and Yeah. Basically, they're not bad songs at all. They're just not up to par with everything else. I get that Yeah is there because it helps the concept of the album a lot. But it was one that I just wasn't feeling as much as the others. And the same can be said with Loyalty. Loyalty, though, is probably going to be a big hit if Kendrick Lamar and Top Dog and Interscope push it that way. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that one all over radio this summer. Not all music is meant to be answered fully right away. You're not supposed to understand the entire concept from start to finish within a matter of hours. Damn is an album that really takes you on a roller coaster ride. And like I said, I've seen articles that talk about this and that, and it seems very accurate to the story, but I'm also still having fun coming up with my own theories that may or may not be true, but it's still fun to do while you're listening to the music, while you're learning the lyrics and appreciating what Kendrick Lamar created. I thoroughly enjoyed Kendrick Lamar's Damn. I feel like when it's all said and done, Kendrick is going to be an artist that goes down in history as one of the greatest. He's going to have a near flawless discography, in my opinion, because he cares too much about his craft to put out something that's just half-baked, that's not up to par with what he's put out so far. Kendrick is only getting bigger and better. And while it's too early to say if Damn is better than To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid, Mad City, I will say that it is nothing short of a great album. So those are my thoughts on Kendrick Lamar's Damn. Once you listen to the album, talk to me in the comment section. What do you like about this album? What do you not like? What do you interpret? Do you have any theories on the album yourself? Talk to me in the comment section below. Then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Share the video. Follow me on Twitter at @SermonsDomain. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.